This is Becton 99 talking to you from the void. I just saw the Black Phone Part 2. I was kind of curious how they were going to justify the sequel. I thought the first movie was okay. Nothing great, nothing bad. One of my other baseline thoughts was I like that Ethan Hawke came back to do it. Obviously, they paid him, but him and the director, I believe they worked together in Sinister. So Ethan Hawke could have easily just said, "Nah, bro, like my schedule's like it's too packed, bro. Good luck." But he understood that his director friend, I'm assuming, it'd just be a smoother way to get the sequel greenlit, I guess. So he said, "I'll come back." And the director got to get another paycheck. Or, I mean, I'm not sure if the director wrote the original script or whatever, but that whole producing team, they got to eat one more time, so I can respect that. At the time of this recording, I'm not entirely sure that the two leads, the kids, the brother and sister, if they're the same people from the first movie or not. I'm pretty sure the boy is, but hard to tell. Overall, I thought like the first act was kind of interesting. Just the setup of establishing that the girl's still having her visions and he was still having visions and he was getting calls about the grabber. I kind of wish that it didn't. I mean, I guess technically it had to focus on the grabber character, but it would have been more interesting if they were getting psychic calls from other people, because it raises an interesting hypothetical dilemma. How are you going to live your life, or how do you find the balance between living life knowing that all these kids are being killed all over the world or in different places, and you obviously can't stop it all. So how do you develop a system that allows you to cope with that? And even at this stage, since they're still young, I can understand the brother not wanting to accept that this is always going to happen. I could see, like, if they would have played the angle where he's like, I just want to be normal. I don't want to deal with this shit. Why do I have to do this shit? Why do I have to see all this dark shit? And so I thought, but it was more like that kind of sentiment was there, but it was super understated. And all the calls were specific about stuff that the grabber character did. Tying everything back to his mom, the kid's mom, like the grabber knew the mom, killed the mom. I don't know how I felt about that. I mean, sure. But the whole, I guess the horror for me fell apart, if there was any, and there wasn't much, is when your horror villain is figure skating on the ice. I thought that was a terrible choice. Like, just let him walk normal on the ice. Find a way to do that. Don't let this nigga turn into what's her name? Tanya Harding or Christina Yamaguchi. Two of those references. That part kind of took me out of the final battle. This nigga just huffing it around on the ice, looking hella dainty. I had to scratch my head at the characterization of the two Christian people, the two white Christian people. It's like, why were they white? Were they, and I'm not going to, go too far on a limb trying to help these characters or defend them, but why were they cast that way? To be religious and to be stupid, or to be religious and be hypocritical, or to be religious and not really understand what religion is. I thought that was kind of it was, the characters were too one-dimensional, and that had nothing to do with the actors. It had everything to do with how they were written, and it makes me question what the director was really saying about Christianity. Even in the final battle, they're like the only ones that really get fucked up. It was like, what's that about? There's a character in this movie called Mustang, and I was like, what kind of name is that? That was a head scratcher. Her name is Mustang, and someone goes, like the car? And she goes, no, like the horse. I said, okay. Who in the writer's room thought they were cooking when that exchange happened? The dad character, the first time I saw him act, it was in the movie Solaris, I think is the movie name. It's some space movie with George Clooney from a long time ago. And I thought the Jeremy Davis dude, I mean, he was always kind of like alternative looking, but you could tell he has some acting chops. I kind of imagined a bigger career than what happened, and I'm not judging him. It's like, who am I to judge? But I'm just saying, I was like, oh, he gonna be one of them ones, but he kind of turned into a character actor, and then he kind of just played different versions of the same character, like manic or weird or whatever. He never got to really play like a romantic lead, or just. So there's a scene where the dad, the daughter, the son have a confrontation in the snow. And the script was letting the girl get off hella like zingers for no reason. Like, she was like, told the dad, like, what are you gonna do, dad? Beat me? And it's like, yeah, like, if I used to beat you before and I'm sorry about it, you saying, come on, dad, hit me, that's not really good reverse psychology, because I'll do it. I'll feel bad later, but I can still do it. It's not like you're going to beat me up. Like, so my anger, or how serious I think the situation is, outweighs you trying to make me feel bad about me trying to save you if I think that us leaving is the biggest thing that we need to do. And if you need to be punched in the gut and thrown in the truck, that might happen, you know? And if I did make a promise to never hit you again, you know, that doesn't mean I turn into your punching bag where you can just, rattle some shit off, you know? And and that is not applicable in every case. I'm just saying this was an extreme case. The dad shows up, thinks you guys are in trouble. He says, let's get out of here. He's having that mentality where we can't save everybody. I'm not leaving, Dad. What you could do? Throw me in the car? Maybe. Yeah. So what? So that seemed a little obnoxious to me. And then she's like telling her brothers secrets, saying that you're just like Dad. You're just numbing everything with the weed, bro. And in movies, they let these moments happen, but the son is supposed to have anger issues. So what would have been more real is if he walked up to the sister and was almost gonna fight her, or not. Or getting so frustrated that he couldn't just hit her because he attacks all of his problems. But he does this. He does something similar to that, but from a spatial distance. But there is no real distance when you're telling my secrets to someone that I don't want to know. I'm going to try to like grab your mouth, push you if I can't hit you. These are real things, and him grabbing her or pushing her could have like exposed her point more about his anger. And I would like to see that dynamic in that little argument more, but he was just letting her say everything, and nobody's going to do that. If I was somewhere and somebody was just about to tell my wife that I cheated on her, I'm not standing there letting that shit go down, you know? And it doesn't matter the relationship that the person has to me, whether or not I don't want to hit my mom or whoever. I can't just stand there and let you get that shit off. No, it's not gonna happen. He'd be like, all that would happen would be like, and then Kevin was, I'm rushing, nigga, to stop your mouth from moving. And I'm not saying hit everything, but I will, subdue you somehow, because I'm not just gonna let the words fly out. You better say that shit hella fast. So in this scene, she was just airing the dude out. He was just standing there listening. I was like, no, I'm not trying to hear that shit. They had some lore where he needed the anchors of the dead bodies to still be strong there. The movie can't go on forever, but I would have loved for them to take the three things out, and then he'd be like, who told you that? Yeah. These things aren't my anchor. You're my anchor, you know? And that would have been like, and then they could have still killed him somehow, but I would have liked that more than just him going, oh, they took the things out. I guess I can't do anything anymore. It kind of reminded me of like like how anticlimactic it is when, no matter what version you do it, when they just die somehow. Like this all powerful thing that was causing ruckus the whole movie. Now he's just sad and has no strength or whatever. So, but all in all, if I had to sum it all up, I thought it was dope that Ethan Hawke came back for whatever scenes that he did. If those two kids were the kids in the first movie, that's dope. Oh, I guess the last critique would be those all those teen romance dialogue scenes. Cringy, cringy. Like people think I'm weird. I like weird. Wow. She's like, what? You just prayed. That was super hot. My mom's like really Catholic, so she'll like you. All that shit. Yikes. Back to now.